Whether or not you should buy Endless Ocean Luminous will come down to a few questions. First, do you love aquariums? Like, really love aquariums? If so, do you like reading each and every informative plaque? Could you imagine yourself running around the aquarium trying to take a photo of every single fish and then doing that again and again and again? If that sounds like fun to you, you might love Endless Ocean Luminous. If not, this game is probably not for you. Before we get into it, it would mean a lot if you'd like and subscribe to the channel. Now, buckle up, because I've got a lot of opinions about this game. Personally, I was extremely excited for Endless Ocean Luminous leading up to release. I find the ocean fascinating. I love snorkeling. And yes, I even love reading all of the info plaques at aquariums. A first-party Nintendo game about scuba diving sounded like exactly my cup of tea. And it was, for the first 2 hours or so. This is the third Endless Ocean game, with the 2 previous games having been released on the Wii back in the day. I miss those titles, so I'm not able to compare Luminous to its prequels. The gist of the game is this. You explore a procedurally generated ocean, discovering and learning about over 500 different marine species. But let me break down how that actually goes. When you start a dive, whether solo or in multiplayer with up to 30 other divers, you'll set out in any direction your heart desires. When you come upon some fish, you'll hold down the left bumper and scan them. If you hold it down until the scan completes, you'll be taken to a close-up of the fish and your AI companion will read a short blurb about them, just like the info plaques at aquariums. You'll then back out of this menu once you've had your fill and continue on your way, looking for more fish to scan. And that's basically it. That's the meat of the whole game. Swim along, scan fish, read about them, repeat. And honestly, for the first few hours, this loop works. There's a palpable sense of discovery that comes from scanning each new species, and it hooked me pretty quickly. The Endless Ocean seems to have a good amount of interesting locations as well, with each new biome presenting a whole slew of new creatures to scan and learn about. So far, so good. There is one major problem with this loop though. In my very first dive, I scanned well over 200 of the 500 species, which caused my enjoyment of my second dive to take a serious nosedive. The maps are huge, and once you've scanned all the fish in a given procedurally generated block, there really isn't anything new to see. Some of the fish are so small that it's impossible to tell if you've already scanned them or not, so I was still scanning each and every fish in the hopes of finding something new. By the time I had scanned over 350 fish, I started to actively dislike Endless Ocean Luminous. A new gameplay loop had emerged, and it looked like this. Swim as quickly as I can, zigzagging around the map, looking for biomes that I hadn't seen before. If there were none, reload the map and repeat. When I would stumble upon some new biome, that initial sense of discovery came back, and I would start to enjoy the 15 or 20 minutes it took to scan and read about all of the new species I was discovering. But once I'd collected them all, it was back to the monotonous task of zigzagging across an annoyingly endless ocean. Mindlessly searching for new fish could be fine. It's meditative to an extent, but it's the way that progression works that really sinks this game. There's a story mode. It's downright terrible, but it's there. Yet if you want to progress in the story mode, you have to scan a certain number of fish. I don't mean discover a certain number of fish. I mean scan them. Like scan fish you've already scanned over and over again, which could be fine if it was a reasonable number, since you're always going to be scanning schools of fish anyway, hoping to find the one that you might have missed out on a previous dive. But no, Endless Ocean Luminous demands that you scan thousands of fish in order to unlock new levels in its abysmal story mode. The story mode itself is more of a tutorial anyway, with some levels just acting as cutscenes and others barely having any fish to scan at all. I cannot think of a single generous explanation for why the developer has locked its tutorial story mode behind scanning thousands of fish. It seems to me you would only want to do that if the meat of your game was so bare bones that it would stop being enjoyable without some carrot at the end of the string to keep you zigzagging across its endless ocean. There's another carrot that they decided to dangle too, and it's even worse. You'll collect salvage from little shiny spots on the ocean floor, and each one rewards you with some coin. The only thing you can spend your coins on is cosmetics for your diver. Except the cosmetics are simply different colors, not different skins. There's stickers and emotes as well, but whatever. They all look ungodly garish too. These are not carrots worth diving for. Lastly, there are some activities, although I use that word lightly. On every dive, you'll be tasked with finding sort of corrupted fish, which turn all pixelated when you scan them. If you find them all, some cartoonish monstrosity will appear and you'll get to scan that too. Then there are the various artifacts that will give you some cryptic clue and ask you to bring them a certain fish. If your level is high enough, then you can ask a fish to join you on a swim and they'll follow you around the map. If you bring the right fish to the artifacts, you'll fill in a box on your mysteries chart, of which there are 99. I played Endless Ocean Luminous for roughly 12 hours, and I have no intention of fully filling out this chart. But according to the internet, the ending of the game is locked behind having this 100% complete. That feels like sadism to me. Visually, the game is pretty good. Some fish look significantly better than others. It looked like some of the models were new for this release and others might have been using their previous Wii textures. It's a strange disparity. The environments, on the other hand, don't look great. There's an extreme lack of coral on surfaces that should otherwise be teeming with life. Maybe it's a commentary on the death of our oceans, but I wish the various biomes at least looked more interesting. For example, the kelp forest is just kelp on a sandy bottom. Where are the urchins, holdfast, sea stars, and anemone? It just feels lifeless. The soundscape here is wildly inconsistent too. Sometimes relaxing music plays and it sets a nice vibe, but other times you have to listen to nothing but the terrible kicking sound your diver makes. Way too much of the game sounds like this. Your AI companion sounds fine enough, but the information they give you on each fish feels bare bones. I looked up a few of the fish on ChatGPT to compare, and some of these are way more interesting than they're portrayed in Endless Ocean Luminous. The multiplayer seemed to run fine for me. Working with others definitely helped fill out the maps quicker. Unfortunately, I only ever got placed with 3 to 4 other divers, so I was never able to see the promised 30-person parties touted in the publicity for the game. Ultimately, while this review is largely negative, I didn't hate all of my time with Endless Ocean Luminous. Swimming around leisurely, scanning undiscovered fish in a newly discovered biome is legitimately engaging. But once you've scanned the majority of the fish, Endless Ocean Luminous becomes a repetitive slog and one of my least favorite gameplay loops I've ever experienced. Unless they come out with tons of extra content for this game, there is very little longevity here. This has been my least favorite review that I've written so far for this channel because I was so excited for this game before launch. But after having experienced it firsthand, I'm gonna have to give Endless Ocean Luminous a 5.6 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and again, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, and I will continue to try to put out a video a week. And let me know what you think of Endless Ocean Luminous in the comments. Are there any other good diving games you recommend? Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.